Welcome back to the PolitBureau. Now, shortly after he was sworn into office, Northwest Premier Job Mogoro spelled out his immediate plans to restore confidence in his government.
Top of my agenda come next week is to reduce, if not eliminate, the trust deficit between the people of Kwandiwe and government.
Well, political analyst Professor Kwandiwe Kondlo joins me now to make sense of the ANC's handling of its affairs in the Northwest Province. Prof, I think immediately I want you to respond to that particular statement by the newly elected Premier that he wants to restore confidence in his government, particularly the relationship between government and the people of the Northwest. Can he do it?
Well, that's a very important point that the Premier is highlighting. But at the same time, if I were to advise him, I would actually say, please separate long-term objectives from short-term to medium-term objectives. Building confidence is not something you can do within even 4 months. It requires time.
What does it start with, therefore? Because there are so many calls right now and so much pressure on him. Some are saying if he is indeed going to be believed when he says he wants to restore confidence, he has to reshuffle his cabinet. You heard the SACP sitting on that chair just moments ago saying he needs to do it as soon as yesterday.
Well, reshuffling cabinet, yes, he may need to do as soon as possible, but he needs information about the performance in the different portfolios. Secondly, look, Professor Mogoro, he must not be seen as coming in on a witch hunt, you see? Otherwise he's not going to get the political goodwill and support that he needs, because he needs goodwill and support. He only has close to 12, 13 months in that position. And he cannot fix everything. He must identify areas of priority. And for me, the area of priority would be, number one, cooperative governance, so that he can work with local government, municipalities to fix service delivery. That is an area of priority. And secondly, the issue of health.
Prof, I want to use his words here on Friday when he made the speech inside the legislature immediately after he was elected. He says that positions of leadership are not an opportunity for self-enrichment, enrichment of friends and comrades. That kind of talk, Prof, certainly it will endear him to the people of the Northwest. But what about his foes within the ANC leadership? Surely he does not have a lot of friends there, I would want to argue.
Yes, well, we're still going to see whether he has many friends or few friends. But he'll need really to tread carefully, because remember, the center of power is the ANC, and the chair of the ANC in the province is still Supra. And he is a premier who's coming in only for a period of, I would say, less than 13 months, you see. So for him to be able to operate and navigate the vicissitudes of this ANC government relationship, he will need to be careful, in the sense that he must not be seen as coming on a witch hunt. And if he reshuffles cabinet, it must be based on some concrete information and concrete plan. And he must focus on how to fix local government in the province so that there is service delivery.
Prof, I can't get my mind away from this conundrum that he seemingly faces, and that is that of leading a province that is run by someone who has been very clear in his actions that he may not necessarily be with the ethos of the new leadership of the ANC and also in government, the leadership of Cyril Ramaphosa. We saw him supporting former President Jacob Zuma earlier this month down in Durban. And this issue of a cabinet reshuffle, Prof, it's important. How does he get Supra Mamapilo to agree to this? Because my suspicion is that it's going to be easier said, but implementation is going to be something else.
Yeah, that's why, in my view, I don't think it's something you can just stand up and do immediately from next week. Yeah, he's going to need to lobby and get some support and goodwill from within the ANC in the Northwest, and to some extent also get Supra himself to be reasonable and to understand why certain positions have to be shifted in the cabinet of the province.
Prof, I want us to take a pause for a moment because I want to talk about this new sheriff in town who is talking tough, particularly on the issue of laziness. Let's listen back to Professor Mogoro.
The events of the recent past have seen many of us, especially public servants, loitering, not showing up for work at all. Let me remind all concerned, the party is over. Yes. Those responsible for ensuring consequent management and fail to do so are as guilty as the perpetrators themselves.
Prof, the party is over for loitering public servants. I want to ask you the question, should the people of Northwest be assured of service delivery, therefore?
Well, clearly, if words were an end by themselves, then they would be assured of service delivery. Unfortunately, Professor Mogoro, I'm sure he knows, it's going to take a bit of time to change the culture of some of the departments in the Northwest. And changing organizational culture doesn't happen immediately. It requires a bit of investment, a bit of patience, and a bit of monitoring. Yes, he is right to talk tough. He's correct, you see, so that the impression he gives, especially to the people of Northwest, that he wants to get things done. But in reality, it's not going to be that fast. It's going to take a bit of time.
Prof, just finally, we earlier touched on the relationship between Mr. Mamapilo and President Cyril Ramaphosa. The new premier, he absolutely has taken on board the Tumamina message, send me. The question I want to ask you, therefore, is where does Professor Mogoro where does it start? Because he says that this message of Tumamina must permeate, these are his words, permeate the entire fabric of government.
Well, clearly we've got to watch and see what happens, because unfortunately, while he's the premier, but the political weight in the province still doesn't reside with him, you see. It still resides with Mr. Mahumapelo. And how Cyril is going to intervene and make sure that the premier is not just a symbolic figurehead for the administration, but also has some political power. That we're still going to see what's going to happen. But things are not easy in the ANC at the moment. Things are very tough. And unfortunately, if the ANC is not very careful, especially in Northwest, look at the trend. The trend is a downward trend. From 2004 election, the ANC scored 80%. 2009, the ANC went down to 72. And in the 2014 election, the ANC was at 67. So there's a serious downward trend in terms of support for the ANC in the Northwest. So they must be careful. We're all heading for a shock in the coming elections in 2019. A shock we don't know.
Those are sobering words. So, well, thank you very much for having joined us this morning, Professor Kwandiwe Kondlo. The PolitBureau continues after the break.